Moving on, we are going to work on the muzzle right here. So let's go. We decided to use an oil filter for the muzzle. So let's grab the photo and go back to Photoshop, throw it on a new document. Quick selection tool. This should be easy peasy right there. Remember, if you mess up, just hold Alt. It will do its best to kind of fix itself. Let's select everything inside here. Make sure we're not missing anything. We can do a quick test even. Let's do Control X. See, it missed this part. Undo. Grab it. Control X. We got everything. Let's head back to our document. Control Shift V. And there is our filter. Let's bring it to the top. Control T, hold Shift, put it sideways. Now, this is just completely off. Color, brightness, everything is wrong with this. But luckily, we are experts at lighting and matching stuff. So, Control L, bring it down. Okay, now it's getting there in terms of lighting. We need to push the darks and lights a little bit. There you go. So now it starts to match. This looks nice. And then we can bring it a little bit brighter. That looks cool too. And then we can bring these a little bit in here. That helps too. Now the best way to see if it's matching or not is to look at the little preview window right here. It's called the navigator. If you can't see it, just go to window and find it. It's going to be navigator. So right now it looks kind of like it matches. So we're going to hit OK. Just throw it in here for now. Now we're going to hit C to crop the document because I need to fit it in here. Let's just expand the document somewhere right there. Hit enter. And then I'm going to select the background color. Hit G for the paint bucket. Alt, select the background. And paint. Just like that. Okay. Let's grab the oil filter again. Control T. Let's scale it. Let's make sure it looks kind of decent. Right size. What do you guys think? Smaller, bigger? I think just a tiny bit. And that's that. This looks like it matches. Okay. Now we're gonna throw it in here somehow. And we are going to say that this looks fine. Now, if you guys are paying attention, you're gonna say, well, something is odd. This doesn't look nice. Or something is wrong. And let me prove it to you. Let me just grab it and attach it right here. We can even bring it under the AK layer. And same thing, like, you're gonna be like, something is not right. And I'm going to tell you exactly what is wrong with this picture. It is the actual perspective. Now, we haven't talked about this because this has to do with circles and ellipses. But even though this actual filter is flat, but because of the perspective of the AK itself, this doesn't look right. And let me explain to you what is going on. I'm just going to throw a new layer on top so I can grab my pen. And I'm going to just put in a red color so you guys can understand. I want you now, perspective is, you need to study perspective. It's going to take you like a month or two so you can start to understand what perspective is. But just by eyesight, everybody can tell that this curve right here doesn't make sense, but you really don't know why, and I'm going to explain to you why right now. Now you need to really open your eyes to understand what I'm saying. Now let's look at the tip right here. This is where I'm focusing of the gun. Okay, you guys, we are focusing on this thing right here. Okay, let me undo. Now if you see, this is the flat part right here, right? It's sitting flat. But if you pay attention, it is actually not completely flat because we can see this edge right here. You guys see it? This edge. And we can also see the edge in here, and we can see the edge in here, the side. So basically, we're not looking at a box that is like this here. We're not looking at a box that is like this. What we are actually looking at, if you want me to match this, we are actually looking at a box that's like this. it's kind of going into perspective. Leave me alone, shift. So we see some of the front and some of the side. And this is why this doesn't make sense right here. Now, if we're looking at the oil filter, let me undo this stuff. If we're looking at the oil filter, all we see is just the side. So the problem is, and why it doesn't fit, is because we need to see this part of the oil filter. This is wrong. So what does the oil filter have from this part? Well, if you go into the images, this is exactly why I downloaded this image. Now you see, from the side of the oil filter, we see this little section right here. So to fix that problem, to remedy this, this awkwardness, we need to include this part somehow onto here. And it's going to make sense. First of all, let's close this. Now, I hope you guys understood what I'm trying to explain. Anyways, just follow me now and it's going to make absolute sense. It's going to be like an aha moment for you guys. I promise you that. Especially for beginners that don't know what perspective is, this is going to be awesome. So anyways, with my quick selection tool, W, I just selected the top part right here, just the part we need. I'm going to do a Control X. I'm going to come here, Control Shift V. And I'm sure I pasted it somewhere here. There it is. Okay, we got the piece right here. Let's close this because we don't need it anymore. Now, before we even touch the actual filter, I'm just going to push it to the side right here. I'm going to grab this piece and we are going to scale it with Control T. Bring it down, 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 down. Now, I am going to grab it. I am going to put it behind the AK layer right there. And then I'm going to make sure the hole matches this hole kind of. Control T, grab one of the corners, just kind of put it in the right angle. And there you have it. If it still looks weird, you can actually grab one of these sections and make it even smaller, just like that. So what's happening is I'm flattening it. I'm pushing it into perspective more. So this, I mean, you just have to kind of eyeball it, but I think just by doing this piece alone, it already looks much better. So now if we put this right here, where it's going to fire the bullet, and then we're going to grab this part and we're going to bring it behind it. Now, let's grab the filter and make it a little bit bigger so the sides match right here. I'm looking at the top and bottom edge. Top and bottom edge. And a little bit smaller. Just a tiny bit smaller. And we can push it in just to hide it. There you go. Now, automatically, you guys, automatically, let me zoom in just a little bit outside. Look at that. Now that just automatically makes sense to you, right? Especially to your eye. You're like, you know what? This makes sense right now. Okay, but it's still not there because the texture on the oil filter itself is still flat. We're going to need to curve it. We're going to need to warp it. So we are going to do some work with the actual filter itself. So we're going to create a new layer on top of it. Hold Alt, snap, go back to our brush. Let's pick this color right here and let's paint. Let's get rid of that curve that was there from the beginning. Just like that. There you go. Make sure everything looks nice and clean. Can even get rid of that stupid highlight that was there. I don't like it. Let's get rid of this stuff right here. There's some highlights on it. Just paint. There you go. Now, I am going to hold the lasso tool. Actually, I'm going to hold, just press Control E to merge the painting that we did with the actual layer itself of the oil filter. Now, I'm going to hit L for the lasso tool, hold Alt, and I'm just going to grab this, and this part right here, the writing on the actual filter. I'm going to grab those, and I am going to do Control C, and then Control D to deselect, and then Control Shift V to paste a copy. We are going to hit Control T, right click, and warp. Now, this is going this way. You see it? This is going this way. However, the word cat itself is flat. So what we need to do is it needs to follow this curve. So we are going to do exactly that. Just going to grab it from here and warp it. And let me do that with my mouse because it's much easier. And there you go. I'm warping it, if you guys can see. There you go. Just that slight curvature makes a huge difference, you guys. That's it. That's all I need. I'm gonna hit enter. Now I'm going to press Ctrl E again to merge it to the bottom layer. Press B for the brush and paint out this extra stuff. And let's zoom out one more time, you guys. And there you have it. Look at that. It makes sense. Makes sense both in terms of perspective. It's right. It's just the way it is. That's how nature intended this thing to be. So look at the difference. You see that? Complete bull crap. Doesn't fit the right perspective by looking at this edge right here. Now when we put this, now because we can see this edge, that means we can see this edge for the filter. There you have it. Now the only problem is the cap itself is just too bright. So we're gonna hit Ctrl L, bring it down a little bit because it is actually facing inside. Not too much, just a tiny bit. And then we are going to press B for brush. Let's pick a soft brush. We're gonna snap the pixels, the transparency, and we are just gonna push that inside part just a little bit, tiny bit darker because it is not supposed to be in light. And then right here we're going to need to put some AO, ambient occlusion, because the muzzle is actually touching the filter itself. And there you got it. Just tiny bit. Don't overdo it, you guys. Now let's zoom out. And this looks just awesome. Awesome. Okay, what's left? Well, we can put some dirt on it. Why not? Let's do it. Let's use this one. Let's grab it. Throw it in here. Make sure it's on top of this thing. Let me see. Which one was the filter? This was the filter. I just wanted to apply on the filter itself. Alt and let's see. Multiply. Yep, multiply does the trick. I'm gonna do Control T. You can scale it. You cannot. If you want, you can scale it or not. It's up to you. And let's pick something that doesn't have too much lines, not too obvious. You can do that. You can hit Enter, Control T, warp, and let's warp it a little bit. Let's make it rounded. There you go, rounded as much as I can. As much as I can around this piece. There you have it. Okay, that looks good. Let's hit E to unlock it. Bring the levels back because now it's too dark. Just slightly, ever so slightly. You don't want to overdo anything, you guys. You just want to make it nice and slow. And there you have it. If it's still too dark, what you can do is you can grab this layer, lower its opacity a little bit if you want. Somewhere around there. And that looks good. Now, this was this part. And this was the texture. And this is the actual filter itself. Shift all of them. Control group. And there you have it, you guys. Here's the muzzle. Now, you can paint on top of it, you can work a lot on top of it, but the basic idea is, here is the muzzle, it's in the right perspective, and everything looks great. Let's save and move on.